Hi GI TV, Bob the Axeman Hildren here with Greg Wong, aka Spartan117GW. Now we're here at E3. It's actually the first year Airsoft GI has been to E3. However, this is your third year, Greg. So I figure we'll just talk about some overall impressions of this year's E3.
This year, the press conferences really knocked it out of the park. It was really solid, the publishers and the actual developers themselves. I think for me, the highlight obviously is Battlefront. That's my #1, top of the list. It's actually cool because there's multiple places you can play the games. Like outside, at the Sony booth, and at EA booth. Also, you have Tom Clancy really knocking it out of the park. Rainbow Six, Siege, you have the new Ghost Recon that was announced, open world, really taking it back to the sandbox kind of mentality. But there's also a couple cool games that are here as well. You also have the new Halo that they're showing off. Xbox is a really nice booth setup, and they actually made a couple cool announcements, new updates to the controller, as well as backwards compatibility for their system. Of course, and they're also showing the new Metal Gear Solid. I mean, the show floor is literally just packed with content this year. I thought it was good last year. This year is amazing.
Now, what's interesting about E3, which a lot of people may not know, is that, as an attendee, you can show up and you have a chance to play a lot of these games. However, you are going to be waiting, multiple hours because there's such a demand. And speaking of Battlefront specifically, I personally didn't want to have to wait 2 or 3 hours and kill most of my day, but it was really fun watching the other people play on those giant screens. And if you have a chance to actually play the game after waiting that long, you get to walk through part of the Hoth base to get to that playing area. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. Okay, Echo Base.
Echo Base.
Wow, I am just out of sleep. So anyway, there are so many cool games here, but I mean, as far as like the releases, like if you had to pick 1 or 2 favorites, what would you say? I mean, I would assume Battlefront is going to be right near the top of that list.
Battlefront really is at the top. I mean, it's for the alpha that they have. It's immaculate. It looks great. It sounds great. The gameplay is extremely solid. Everyone was curious, how are they going to pull off the Battle of Hoth? They executed it beautifully. Rainbow Six is doing the really good stuff with the nice close quarters action. And there's just so many great games this year. It's hard to really pick, but I would say Battlefront is definitely my #1. And anyone who's ever played the demo or just watched the gameplay, it'll fulfill your greatest fantasies. Yeah.
Fallout looks amazing. They even have a free game, I believe, coming out called Fallout Shelter, which you can download now in the App Store. However, I actually hadn't seen a trailer for the new Ghost Recon game. Have you seen that yet?
Yes, I actually saw it at the Ubisoft press conference. It's actually online too. If you go by the Ubisoft booth, you can see it being played. But it's definitely amazing and definitely a huge turn in direction for Ghost Recon within the Tom Clancy series. In a way, though, it's kind of returning back to its open-ended roots, kind of make it your own mission kind of thing. But it definitely is really cool. All the amazing weapons customization will return. And what's great too is people can jump in and jump out of a game. So you'll have AI running with you in your squad. People can just jump in the game right with you and play. It's gonna be pretty awesome. It's gonna be a great open world Ghost Recon experience.
Now, in addition to like all these cool games, there's a big virtual reality section where, I mean, Oculus Rift is all over this convention. Obviously, some other manufacturers have different, VR headsets out. What is your opinion on the direction that VR is going in this convention?
I mean, the fact that we have VR is great because it means that, well, we're heading in that direction. And Oculus is obviously knocking it out of the park, but there's also a lot of smaller booths like Omni and a couple of the actual stand-in virtual reality sims that allow you to walk, because I believe, for me, that's the hardest part about anything virtual reality is the movement, right? The aiming is one thing, but the moving is just something that they could never quite get right. The Omni is a pretty cool solution. It's not the cheapest solution, but it's showing progress in the right direction. And it's cool because you can run and you can shoot and you can do both, and to the point, hopefully, in the future where we can get that all-encompassing within a pretty decent commercialized package. And then there's also things where they basically have a gun with like a tablet or an iPhone on there, and it's virtual reality where you're pointing. That, for being how simple it is, looks like a lot of fun. So I don't know if you got to check it out, but it was pretty dang cool.
We did get to go by, and I was actually surprised because, when I first heard of Omni, it was a Kickstarter project, and now, I mean, it completely full-fledged. I mean, it's really out there because, I was surprised at how they manufactured it. It's definitely a strap-in system, goes around your hips. You have stuff that goes on your shoes to help you walk around. I thought it was going to be like just a tray of beads or something on the ground, but it's really just an add-on to your shoes and a platform.
Yeah, it's a platform that's got a little bit of a concave setting, so basically you're walking and on a continuous slope, essentially, kind of. But it's interesting how that works out and how that incorporates with the game and the technology. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, anyone who want to play a virtual reality, Star Wars Battlefront, that would be amazing. Like, put on a Stormtrooper helmet and it's got the HUD in there and everything. Okay, we're just dreaming crazy right now.
I know.
But, we're going the right direction. I think it's gonna be cool to see what happens next.
It's also shocking too because they had workout stats and or how many calories you burn by playing a certain amount of these games, and shocking how much of a workout you can get just by playing video games with that system.
It's an amazing kind of workout and how many calories you burn just walking the show, but it's kind of cool that we're getting this level of immersion. I mean, airsofters are basically trying to get that kind of immersion anyways. And this is something that you can do from your home too. So it's pretty cool to see how the technology has evolved.
Oh, I would totally agree. Now, actually, since you've been to E3 so many different times, do you have any advice for people who either want to go to E3 but can't, or it's their first time going to E3? What advice would you have?
Get to know the developers, because I mean, if you just come in as a regular attendee, like you said, you're going to be waiting in lots of lines. That's going to be burning up so much of your time that you could have exploring the show floor, meeting people. As cool as it is to play the games, I would say meeting people here at the show comes first before playing the games. I mean, the games are cool. You can watch the games and talk about the game, but if you want to have a really fulfilled experience, get to know the developers, get to know the people. Because eventually, you get to see stuff like this, get a little media pass, and so on and so forth, because that in itself will shave you time waiting in line. You'll get to play the game, but now you actually have an extra level of interaction with the guys behind the project, whether it's Ubisoft or EA or Microsoft or whoever, and that'll really enhance your experience a lot. And of course, if you have a YouTube channel or something like that, it helps a lot. So, that'll definitely improve the experience overall, and you'll have a much more fulfilling E3, I think.
Now, just to be clear, that badge is essentially like a front-of-the-line pass for EA, correct?
This one's a media/VIP, and they're actually, every booth will do something different. This one's, they use color-coded lanyards too, but basically it allows you to have access to certain things. So a lot of it has to come to setting up appointments, but the key points of contact are their PR and community managers. Every single game has a community manager, so start talking to them, start interacting with them, build a relationship. Next thing you know, and the thing is, you want to be contributing something as well. If you're just there just to play, it's one thing. But if you have solid feedback and stuff that they're going to want, you might be pulled to the side for interviews or for this, that, and the other, and really give back to the game. So I think once you kind of make that two-way trade, you're going to see that your relationship will build, and they're going to ask you to come to events. They're going to ask you, hey, are you coming to E3? Hey, we can hook you up, and here, come to E3 and check out the booth and this, that, and the other. So, yeah, it really makes it a much better and elevated experience, and you get a lot more done too.
No, I can believe that, especially with the lack of time you spend sitting in lines. Yeah. Now, what are things? I mean, this is day 2 of E3, and we're about halfway through today alone. What are some things that you have on your ticket? Like, what are things that you want to do still?
Well, I've already played Battlefront, but I have another appointment with them a little bit later on because I just want to get more hands-on time, because you only play on one side through one playthrough session, and to really understand the game, you got to play from both sides, especially for the Walker Assault. Hitting up Ubisoft's Rainbow Six, The Division, Ghost Recon. I mean, there's so many things you can go after, and of course, I want to take time to look at the indie sections and some of the independent technology, because what's yesterday's independent technology is tomorrow's top leading first party brand tech that's out there, like Oculus was like a couple years ago. It was just very leading edge, kind of everyone was like, what is this? Now it's almost like a household name in the game development world. So.
It's all over E3. Almost any booth I went to that had VR was using an Oculus system.
Yes, so it's interesting to see how some small company can really get so big. And of course, one thing you definitely want to check out is all the booth babes out there. There's a lot of gorgeous women here at the show, and that is definitely a plus to take advantage of.
I could not disagree with that. Greg, I just want to say thank you for at least being on the interview, and it's fun running into you here.
Yeah.
Shocking that we actually found you, considering there's so many people here, but I do have a direct line to your phone.
Yeah.
So anyway, Greg, thanks again, and I will look forward to seeing you guys at more of E3.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Have you ever wanted to compare what your friends use to what you use? Well, now you can with the new Compare feature on AirsoftGI.com. Just click the compare box on the items you want to see, then click the compare button to see those items with their stats and prices side by side. So be sure to check this out and everything else we have to offer at airsoftgi.com today.